But this is, and we're not going to really dive into the mechanics of it all, but again, in terms of kind of getting your business going, usually when you're a new real estate person, depending on how busy you are, calling either expired listings or, people that are trying to sell on their own, is kind of a proven strategy that, can help in many ways. One way is that you get the listing. So that, you're out there with now a house to sell. And then, the good thing of that is, if you do it correctly, is that you can do some open houses off of that listing. You might be contacted directly by buyers off of that listing. So those listings give you more than just the actual listing. They give you the potential to meet buyers. So, if you're doing it well and you're thinking it through, you're promoting the heck out of that house in terms of, the open houses, so that, 2 hours on a Sunday you're out there, kind of meeting people. I know Jan has done very well, through the open houses, in terms of meeting people and then turning them into clients. And actually, that's how, that's how she met Claren. And Claren just happened to have a real estate license and decided to get more involved in the business, which we're very glad she did. So, it's an effective strategy that can pay a lot of dividends. I do, as a company, have RedX, which is a service that generates the phone numbers for expired listings and for sale by owner, so you don't actually have to do that piece of the work. It kind of does it for you. You do have to call a lot of people, to sort of get one, and then you have to kind of figure how am I best going to do this in terms of, because what ends up happening when a listing expires, RedX, how it works is really a subscription service. So there's no, you own a zip code, or you just basically get the data, as do hundreds of other real estate agents. And every real estate agent is trained to call expired listings and for sale by owners. I mean, so when that listing expires, that person is, they're bombarded right out that first week. They're getting called, they're getting mailed. So you might have a strategy that says, okay, I'm going to wait 3 weeks or some amount of time to let sort of the noise die down. Because the other thing too is their house just came off the market, it didn't sell. They may be tired, they may be frustrated. There's some good stuff on YouTube. If you just type into the search box, expired listing real estate. There's 100 videos with different agents telling you, Kinga showed us one a while back of a guy who wouldn't let the person off the phone and just basically worked that client hard and ended up, I think, getting the listing. So again, it's having the listing. I'll just you can meet people. So even if that listing, it goes back to okay, should I sometimes take a listing that maybe seems like they want a little bit too much money? Maybe I'm not gonna, get that sold. You never know. People change in terms of what they think, and maybe we'll lower the price as time goes on. Or, again, you may meet some people. So that listing, or, I have a listing, I still have it. It was the first listing I got when I started here. It's on Sunset Beach. It was $895,000. They've lowered the price, but they referred me to a friend of theirs over in Madeira Beach. I put their property on the market, sold in a week. Was $13,000 commission. So that listing gave me that. If I didn't take that listing, even though I knew it was probably priced a little bit high, I never met those other people. So, and it doesn't always work like that, but sometimes it does, and if you don't have the listing, nothing good is going to come of it because you don't have anything to have anything come out of it. So, if you spent, a month hard prospecting and you got 1 or 2 listings, that's awesome. I mean, it goes from there. Then, Jan, I don't know, she worked with a buyer and then ended up sending out a just sold postcard. So it allows you maybe to do some marketing, to do some farming in a particular area. Because when you're starting, the more known you can get, just the better chance of success. So that's expired listings. The other group is for sale by owner. So just kind of going back to that listing that I had on Sunset Beach, the lady is a real estate agent out of Chicago. She's got a winter home here. She was doing it herself through a service that I don't know, is everyone familiar with entry only or flat fee listings?
No.
So basically what you can do is you can, as a seller, to have access to the MLS, you can pay a company some amount, flat fee, $250, $300, it varies. And they'll enter your listing into the MLS for you. So a lot of times those folks will be on Craigslist or on Zillow. They're good to prospect. But then if you call them, they'll say, well, I'm already on the MLS. Well, you are, but your photos are terrible. You've been out there, X number of days, 90 days, you haven't sold your property. Maybe you need a fresh approach. And so this lady, because the price was so high, I was willing to do it for 0.5%. And then, so she was offering 3% to the buyer's agent. I was willing to do it for 0.5% because I had no listings. And then we offered the buyer's agent 2.5%. So for her, there was no additional cost. There was always a chance for me that I could get it sold myself without a buyer's agent for the 3%, $27,000. But again, that listing gave me one other sale for $13,000, and I have one other buyer that I'm still working with that I met through that listing. So that's looking in the 900 to 1.1 million range. So.
How did you find her? Like, how did you know that she was the list only?
Well, I found.
Oh, she expired, or how
no,
did you?
I found her on Craigslist, I believe.
Oh, where she was doing some of the marketing.
Yeah, she was posting it on Craigslist, and basically I cold called her, and she says, "Oh, I know what you want. You're gonna want 3% and offer the buyer's agent 1%." And I said, no, I'll just do it for 0.5%. We'll offer them 2.5%. Some, you're not going to be discriminated against between 2.5 or 3 with a buyer's agent for a $900,000 property. They're still going to bring their client by. Let's do it, she said. Yeah, it was, and I've done probably 15 open houses there. I mean, she's here now, so I can't do them. But when she wasn't around, I was doing them every weekend. As I said, I met one buyer out of it, and then I got that referral out of it. The buyer actually contacted me directly. And again, those are sort of, for me, those have been the highest probability people of me getting to convert into clients, where they've actually contacted me directly. Jan met a bunch at, an open house. I know Lisa's met people at open houses. For me, I've done okay with open houses, but I've done better where they were looking on Zillow. This lady was looking on this thing called Point to Click, which was kind of a obscure website, but she contacted me through that. I met her. We put an offer in on another property. We didn't get it done, and we're still kind of out there looking. So it allows you to get business for free. I mean, there's a lot of services, Zillow, different things where you can spend money to generate, business and generate, buyer leads. But listings, if you get them for free by cold calling them, hopefully you get something good out of it, which means, you can get that listing sold. Like, for instance, the listing that Jan met, I think she got 3 buyers out of it. I did an entry-only listing for that guy. So he gave me $250. When it sold, I got another $199. Not a lot of money, but it allowed us to, we had inventory, we had something where we could, and it was a really good house because it was in a really good area, but the house had some issues. It was like a flea bag motel behind it. So, it took them a while to get.
Cha-ching.
So that was kind of, so that through doing that. And so, yeah, I got $500 out of it, or $450, but it led to a lot more. So that's kind of the thinking. You have to think sometimes out of the box in terms of, okay, how am I actually going to, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get myself going? The expired listings, the thing that's good about them is that they were already used to paying 6%. So that, like, the paying the standard toll, is not something that is unusual. They've already done that. The for sale by owner, those are a little bit harder nut to crack in terms of getting the full commission out of them, because the reason why they're doing it themselves is that they think that the real estate person brings no value. They think that I just put it out there and I'm going to get the same, purchase price if I did it myself or if I used a realtor. So why give it to a realtor? And then, they may have it on the MLS. So they're willing to give some money to the buyer's agent. And then there's the really hardcore FSBO that you could tell them you will pay them and they still won't give you their listing because they just are adverse. So those people, don't even waste your time with. But the ones, a lot of people, when they try themselves, they'll say, okay, I'll try this. Let me see how it goes. And then when it doesn't go so well, they're more open to, working with someone. Or you can look at their listing, and they've only got it on Zillow or they've only got it on Craigslist, and they really don't have the distribution, so they're only reaching a very small number of people. It's become a little bit harder now because Zillow's gotten so big, and Zillow has so much of the search traffic, so they've gotten more exposure because they get themselves up on Zillow. Now, the other thing they do is they tend to have bad photography. Again, I can't stress how important the photography is in terms of, getting people to come in. So they have it on MLS, but their photos are bad. Their photos are jumbled, meaning, the second photo's the bathroom. It's not they're competing with people that do, like me and Jan and Lisa and Kinga, they do a really good job in terms of the photography. So they're up against, their property doesn't look so good. And, the internet is very visual. So that's a good pitch to sort of say, okay, look, we'll professionally photograph your home. When I was up north, I probably had 15 listings that I picked up from for sale by owners that were on the MLS. I rephotographed their house. I changed the position. It came out as a new listing, and I sold it immediately. So, you can get lost in the sauce, so to speak, if your listing is out there a while. So it's really just, you just got to make the calls. You gotta come up with your strategy. You got to come up with your pitch, and you got to just dial, and not get discouraged. I think Kinga had said she called for like 2 hours and then she retired from calling. That's probably not enough to sort of kind of make it happen. You gotta call for, you might have to call, but think of it like this. The thing about the real estate business is the commissions are big, right? If you get one $300,000 listing through cold calling and you get one sale out, that's $9,000. That's probably for most people a month's salary. So if you cold call for the whole month and you got one listing and you sold that, it was worth it. Nobody likes cold calling. It can be, but you just gotta plow through that. You just gotta do it. You gotta say, okay, look, I'm gonna call this many today. You can dial them fast. A lot of times, and the other thing when you're calling, you really want to try to, if you can, build that relationship where they may not be ready today, but if you have a nice contact management system, they say, can I call you back in a month? You call them back in 3 weeks. Maybe they're ready. They'll appreciate that you followed up because that shows you're good at what you do. You followed back up with them, and then it's all about timing. If you hit them like when they're ready and you're the person that called, they'll invite you over. So, any questions on expired? You can get into a little bit more in terms of just, the real nitty gritty of, what to say. And again, there's a ton of information online about, how to pitch these people. Treat them well. There's some stuff out there that's maybe a little bit more aggressive and really is sort of why realtors get a bad name. You kind of don't want to be going down that route, but whatever you feel comfortable with, it can prove fruitful. Any questions?
What do you use for contact management?
I really don't have anything now. I have used Follow Up Boss in the past. That's pretty good because what that does is it actually takes your contacts. So if you're using Zillow or Realtor.com, you can set it up so that when that lead comes in, it automatically just puts it right in there, so you don't have to do anything. And then it sets sort of it'll say uncontacted. And then again, the whole thing about any type of lead is how fast you get to them. When you don't have a ton of leads, it's a little easier to do manually, but when you start to get more and more,
I started an Excel
That's
spreadsheet and starting to, you know how many people I've
Right,
called, like
right.
it's starting to be like, whoa, I'm doing tabs and like it's
yeah,
time to
it
do
gets
something different.
it can get on. The nice thing about like Follow Up Boss, I know Lisa was ready for it. It costs $150 a month. And
Per person?
No, that would be for 3 agents, so it's $50 a month. So I mean, I'm in.
I would chip in 50.
Yeah, I mean, it's
kind of at the point of lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I need something.
I need to do that.
well, what ends up happening is
I'm sorry, I have a 10 o'clock client.
Okay, bye-bye.
Sorry.
I wish I could have stayed.
Yes, I need that.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
So it's pretty good. And the really the best thing about it is it puts all your leads in a centralized place, and then it allows you. The thing I liked about it is it allows you to, once you've had that lead, it allows you to set up a task. So the task is, I'm going to contact this person in a month, or 2 weeks, or a week. So then that day, it's right there. You have your task for that day. And those are basically your calls. And then, it allows you to kind of, and again, if you think about it, if over the course of a year you paid $50 a month, that's $600. If you got one additional sale out of it and you made $5,000, it more than paid for itself. So, and that's kind of what you're hoping happens, that you get that one extra sale because you were more organized, and that person that would have slipped through the cracks, you were able to get and begin to work with. So it does get unruly in terms of. Do you have anything, Kinga, that you use now, or
Not really.
just kind of manually do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
I have a huge calendar,
yeah,
and if I talk to someone and I tell them I'll call you February 10th, I'll put on my calendar, call this and that person.
right,
But I don't have anything.
yeah. I think you can do it manually. It's just
But then you have to look up who that person was and familiarize that.
No, not
So do
really.
you remember who they were?
Yeah,
2 weeks later?
the calendar
Oh,
is
people-
huge. It has a huge box,
Okay.
so
You
I
just
just
write the little
write the
reminder
name, number,
numbers.
and who I'm supposed to call back. And I mean, it's pretty. I look at my calendar every day, and then when you flip the page, you know who you're supposed to call when, which property. I mean, it's
the thing that's nice about Follow Up Boss again is if you've emailed them, that email's in there. Any type of communication with them, is there. And as I said, you don't have to actually then put it in a calendar. It just dumps it right in, and then it shows as like uncontacted. You contact them, and then typically, you come up with, what's your next time you're gonna touch
You
up.
can find 2 others who want to join in. I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I'm in.
So-
Me.
So
I
there
should
we
probably
go.
do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely, I used that when I was up north. Again, it's like anything, as long as you use it and you do it, and you're diligent and organized about it, it's great, and it will lead to more business. There's a few other ones. There's one called Boomtown. I'm not so familiar with that. Realtor.com has one called 5 Street.
Yeah.
So, it's the thing that was nice about Follow Up Boss was that it took all the various sort of leads from the different sources and it just dumped them in. And then up there, we were getting a bunch coming through our own website, and it integrated those in as well. So, but, that's all fine. You still got to call them. You still got to, set up the next task. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? All right, we'll turn off the. Thank you.
Oh, I've got one more.
Okay.
Who do you use for? Do you do your own pictures or do you use somebody for pictures?
Actually, I have a person that I use, and then Jan has someone else that Bill.
No, his name is John, but
John?
Bill gave him to me.
Yeah.
Because your guy was out of
right,
town.
he was.
How much about do they charge?
My person's $100. Jan is a 200,
250.
250.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah,
Jan's
okay.
person is a little bit better in terms
Yeah.
of just.
I have to show you guys some pictures if
Oh,
we
really
have a
good?
minute.
Yeah, the person I use, I mean, he's good, but there could be something in the picture that he's not going to pick up on. If I don't tell him to get that out of there, it's going to show up. So, and then once you're, you're not snapping them, so, it's a
Like
balance.
you mean like something in the room that you don't want to be in the picture?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
the guy that I had met through Bill was the agent that works with her. He does it as a living, full time.
Right.
So he came over to one of my listings in Tampa, and guys, the house was like a wreck. So I hired. Well, actually, they paid. I got them to pay for house cleaning service,
Okay.
and then I went with them because I know the people, and we cleaned their house. So then when John came a week later to take the pictures, there was things in the house that would maybe a regular photographer would have just came and just snapped the pictures of what's there. But John was like, oh, we got to take this bookcase out of here. We can't take a picture